from shadow, sealed in truth, ancient blood, but faith rooted proof. History whispers, legends pretend. She chose the light where darkness ends. Eyes that see what most can't find. Gift of foresight, disciplined mind. Cross held steady, heart on guard. Truth cuts clean when nights get hard. She reads the silence, feels the room. Past and present start to bloom. Fear don't live where faith stands firm. Another veil about to burn. Welcome to the diva dimension, where darkness meets divine intervention. Royal blood, but heaven sent. She don't flinch at what's being mentioned. From cold cases to restless minds, she pulls the truth from broken time. Grace and steel, intuition. Step inside the diva dimension. Duchess title, worn with care. Not a crown, she's always there. Crime scene quiet, motive bare. Professional, precise, aware.
I couldn't figure out the button to turn off the theme song for a second there, so it kind of lingered on. But I like to let it go because honestly, that song's kind of growing on me.
Hey,
It really is.
got something to tell the audience. Your guys going to be a little disappointed. Danielle's not going to be with us tonight. She's
Yep.
she's busy, still
I can't hear
celebrating.
Paul.
She's busy, still celebrating Mother's Day, and she's at a very beautiful garden in Canada, and she's with her mom. So, but when she comes back, I think she's going to share some pictures and everything else. So, it should be fun. So I'm going to just say Happy Moon Day, and we have a very special guest, Michael K. Waterman, and he's an Egyptologist. I mean, anything you want to know about Egypt, Michael knows about it. So I will be paying attention to the audience. So if you have some questions for Michael, you have some comments for Michael, I will stop and say, okay, so and so is talking and he wants to know something from Michael. So, and I see that Pop Spikes is out there. Hello. And here comes the people. Okay.
Hold on, let me switch Michael's camera.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't hear you before. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you before.
Oh,
Okay,
Paul, say something. Let's make sure Michael can hear you.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so Michael K. Waterman, he's an Egyptologist. He's a pagan. He's been reincarnated. So let's ask him about some of his reincarnations. He has actually had some spirits in his home. There was actually writing on either the wall or the door that was done by a spirit. So we'll get more information on that. He's a multimedia artist. He writes for a witch magazine. Tonight we got Tim Schwartz is coming in around about 5 o'clock, I think. We got another person that's on the panel, Sue McClure. Say hi, Sue.
Yay.
Hey, Sue. Nice to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
And also, too, I just want to mention to Michael that under Hinduism, this is something I did some research on. I know you probably know a whole lot more. Lord Shiva is associated with Monday, and that's the strength and serenity, um, governed by a moon god, Chandra or Surna, yeah, I think, which influences the mind and the emotions. Monday is Moon Day. Am I correct about that, Michael, or am
Yes,
I just
and
talking out my
in my
butt?
traditions, it's also Kansu, who is the Egyptian moon god.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
It's his
Well,
day too.
I'm going to start things off. How did you become so knowledgeable about Egypt?
uh, well, I'll go do this again. When I was 5 years old, we were driving up to see my grandparents in Brooklyn, New York. And on a wall of the old Paramount Theater, or Bijou, I think it was, off the LIE, there was a 40-foot picture of Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra. I'd never seen any woman so beautiful in my whole life. To make a long story short, um, I wanted to know who she was. I wanted to know what that was. I never, my mother was beautiful, but she didn't look like that. So my uncle, who's an art history professor, started taking me to libraries and to museums and things, and I got the bug. And I also knew that was my spirit path. When he said the name Cleopatra, it echoed in my mind like I must have known the name. I later found out she was a Greek, which didn't thrill me, but her traditions, her religion was my religion, which is the Kemetic path, the ancient Egyptian traditions. So that's where I am, and I've been studying and practicing that tradition since I was about, oh, honestly, 8 years old. I worked with the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic dictionaries written by E. Wallace Fudge, Volume One and Volume Two, and I took it from there and I started reading everything I could get my hands on. And the more I read, the more I knew that's where I belonged.
That's interesting. Um, and you have a very strong connection to Egypt. Um, isn't one of your past lives centers on Egypt?
Many. But the first one that comes to mind is the name I use in magical ritual, which is Setna Kamwaset. Our friend Hercules calls me Setna of Kemet on his podcasts. Um, I was in the Brooklyn Museum. Oh, I don't know. Now I'm going to say probably more than 50 years ago. And I was walking around up and down the aisles, and I was actually bored. I love the Metropolitan Museum much more. Sorry, Brooklyn. And I saw this stela. A stela is like a big stone with writing on it, hieroglyphics on it, and I could read them. And I saw the name Setna Kamwaset. And again, something happened in my mind. I said, "That's my name. Oh my God, that's me." And I looked down, and there was a ring on the shelf. And you know how when you see something that belongs to you, when it's somewhere else, you know it's yours. That's exactly what it was. It was, oh my, that's my ring. I mean, what was I going to do? Tell the curators, give me that. You know, it's 3,500 years ago, but that's my ring. And I knew it was. And all of a sudden, it was what's called, in India, Shaktiput, stream of consciousness, epiphany, if you're a Christian. That moment, that aha moment, that was who I am. And from then on, I had much more interest in the spiritual path. There's a book, two books by Aisha Shawala Derlubich, which is called Herbak, which means chickpea. Um, it means Horus head. Um, a chickpea, a garbanzo bean, has a face that looks like Horus's. So that's why they call it Herbak. It's the story of a little boy who goes from an ordinary person to a high priest. And I relate to it because that's kind of what I did. I studied with the Fellowship of Isis. I read everything I could get my hands on, as I said, and I became an adept. I learned what Heka is. Heka, Hekkka, is ancient Egyptian magic, ancient Egyptian witchcraft. Now, I grew up in a traditional European coven, basically. I was taught the Celtic, Druidic, some of the Norse, and some of the Greek, like the goddess Hecate. I was taught those things and I learned all those rituals and I became a priest. It wasn't for me. You know, when they asked me, as they do in an initiation, who is your mother and father, God and goddess? Well, they were expecting, Carnunos and Gaia and all the other European gods and goddesses. Michael comes out with Isis and Ra. And the other members of the group were like, who? What? I said, this is my path. And although I followed their rituals for the next 7 years, I knew that wasn't me. So I set out on my own and I established the Pernateru temples. And that was about 1975. I had aligned myself with a very great, wonderful international organization called the Fellowship of Isis, which at the time was headed by Lady Olivia Robertson in Clonengo Castle in Enniscorthy in Ireland. And I corresponded with her many, many times, many years. And in 1975, she awarded me high priest status. And then in 77, I went on my own and formed my own temples. And I've been there ever since.
Wow. And Michael, I was going to ask you, in one of your podcasts where you were talking about gods representing certain hours of the day.
That was
Is that
actually yesterday with Hercules, my dear friend, our dear friend Hercules Invictus. Yes, all the gods and goddesses, each one has a responsibility for the hour of the day or the night. We were talking about that. Like, for instance, Nuit, the goddess of the sky. They say that she runs across the sky and puts her cape, which flows on and on and on, which is the sky. It has stars and planets, and she comes into things when we're going into night, for instance. Let's say 6:30, 7 o'clock, depending on. I don't think they had daylight savings time then when they assigned all these things, but so that was there. Or you have the morning with Ra, as Ra rises in the morning, and he's the first energy. And then in the afternoon, you have his great great grandson, Horus, Heru, who is the afternoon sun. And then the father, Osiris, is the night brings into the night also. He and Isis and Nephthys are all creatures of the night, as it were, to quote Laura Branigan.
oh, and
When you were,
so
oh, I'm
oh,
sorry.
no,
Go ahead.
go ahead, sir. Go, sir.
When you were growing up, did you, even as an adult, when you had rituals that you were introduced, or prayers, or things like that, did you ever come across any and said, that sounds familiar? We did this in the past in Egypt.
Yes, yes, very much so. There is a prayer. You know that May 7th was the first day of the Feast of Bast, and on Facebook I posted everything, and it's also my dear cat Oliver's birthday. I believe he was a gift to me by the goddess Bast. I sincerely believe that. So there were prayers that are from the Ptolemaic dynasty, that was Cleopatra's dynasty, that mention the adoration of the cat goddess. It hit home. And also, there's a book by, I believe it's Normandy Alice, which is called Osiris Awakens. And it has the prayers to the god Osiris in it. Again, those were things, she translated them from hieroglyph, which I can read anyway, but into English for people who don't. And again, that was something that I knew I had done many, many times over. As Setna Kamwa said, he was a priest of Amun, but at the temple of Karnak, which is really ancient Egypt's Thebes. The Greeks took the name Thebes also. But in any case, those prayers were familiar to me because I had done them over and over and over again in many of my lives. So yes, very much, Sue, and I'm talking too much. So someone else, go ahead.
Well, because I actually wondered if how they talked about how hieroglyphs are hard to read, and I'm wondering, besides you, if there's other people that also may have reincarnated and remember how to read them,
Oh
and teach the
yes.
rest of us how to read them.
Well, yes, there are many, many people, and there's one of the high priestesses from the Fellowship of Isis has a course right now, how to read hieroglyphs. Her name is Melissa. She's quite wonderful.
Oh, that's neat.
Um, it's very complicated. Hieroglyphics, remember, you've got 32 dynasties. Okay, that's a problem. Each one of them had their own slang, just like we do, you know? I mean, 300 years ago, if you said something was cool, it meant it was cold, right? Or if I told you you were hot, you might have been burnt at the stake. But that's what I mean. The different slang, the different idioms go through all the 32 dynasties. Each pharaoh has his own way of saying things. It's very complicated. Plus, it doesn't always go left to right or right to left. Sometimes it goes up and down or down and up. The Egyptians also used their language as art. If you could look at the temples, and it's not all alphabets. For instance, if you want to write the word bast, okay, what you have is a mummy form. I'm doing with my hands. A mummy form, a seated mummy. On top of the mummy's neck is a cat head. And then there's the symbols that show that she's Bast. There's a loaf of bread and an egg, and that little mummy form, and that's how you say Bast. If you want to talk about Ra, the god Ra, you're going to draw a sun disk, put a dot in the middle of it, and you're going to have a cobra called an Nereus all around it. The snake encircles the sun, and which is kind of an odd way to do that. You don't have R-A. So you've got to know all those things. And the kings and queens, too. There's a word called Sotem Hem. It means the son of the sun. And every pharaoh has that in his name. It's a bee or a wasp. It has water. It has an ibis, and then you've got a lion, and it looks like a platform behind it. And that is Sotem Hem, the son of the sun. There's also a circle and two lines. And then you get the cartouche. A cartouche is a rope that holds your name. It's for magical protection.
Oh, that's interesting. That's amazing. Thank you.
Very complicated, it is. And no one can tell you they're fluent or expert on hieroglyphs. I don't care if you've been a professor for 100 years. Every time we do something, we learn something new from them because their language is so complicated.
Hey, Michael, since you were also too reincarnated from Egypt, would you say that pyramids are ancient power plants or some type of energy generating device?
There is a ritual that they recently discovered, maybe in Egypt, recent could be 50, 60 years. It's called a pyramid initiation, where in the king's chamber, people who are, I'll call them priests and priestesses, would have someone laying in the sarcophagus. Energy is given to those people, and they are anointed as a member of that particular society. And I believe because of the pyramid shape, going back to, remember Pyramid Power with Max Toth back in the 70s? It shows the electrical energy that the pyramids generate. So I do think that initiation brings people into a certain ability of consciousness, and that there are societies, some of them are secret, that do use the pyramids even now and use pyramid shapes to bring energy to the wherever they're doing.
Michael, also too in the audience, we have Andrew Gnome's Trucking Express, and he asks the Sphinx and that supposed hallway under it. I think he's talking about the Hall of Records.
I get what he's saying, yes. Edgar Casey mentions that. But there's also a theory that if they dug down deep enough, if you see pictures of sphinxes, any sphinx, go to the Avenue of the Sphinxes at Luxor. They're all sitting on a pedestal. Well, it's believed that under the sand, which is, forget about it, all over the place, that there is a pedestal under there. It's not just the carved sphinx, but there's actually, and they say that there are in the paws and in the body of the sphinx and below different passageways and things. They have found a doorway in I'm going to say it was 1420 BC. Tutmosis III had dug out the Sphinx from the sand and it is a legend that if he and it's in front of the Sphinx, there's a little stela that says this whole legend that the Sphinx said, "Please, dig me out, and I will grant you. I'll make you pharaoh." And it's this huge stela. If you go to Egypt, I'm sure I should have had pictures for you to show you this, but they know that somewhere along the line there's something under the Sphinx. So that's what he's talking about, and he's right. I believe that because of the way the other little sphinxes were done. Why would the big Sphinx also not have a pedestal or some kind of a temple below it?
and and perhaps even a library of scrolls.
Well, that one I'm not sure about.
Okay. Okay.
Remember, you're talking about almost 3,500 years BC. If they are there, I don't know whether the sand would preserve all that papyri. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
the ones that they found in different tombs and things were sealed tombs. You know, they say that there was salt and wind erosion, and they even claim some people claim that that a flood affected the Sphinx. If that's true and the water leaked into there, I don't think the papyrus would last.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm looking at it more from a scientific point of view than I am a religious or mystical point of view. I tend to mix both. My religion is spiritual, very much so. But I also am let's face it, I'm a 21st century person, so I also believe in scientific theories. You know,
Mhm.
I know why mummies lasted as long as they did. I mean, they were, dehydrated with natron and bitumen, which is mud, and they were dehydrated with salts, and then they had lacquers poured over them. So, you basically have a freeze-dried person or a sun-dried person, I guess, that has been painted over with lacquer and wrapped up in mummies, and all the internal organs were pulled out because they would rot first, except, they left in the heart, which was in a bag. They thought that was this, they thought that's where your brain was, your senses and everything. They pulled the brain out because they didn't know what it was for. They thought it was kind of a head filler. And I think in a lot of cases these days that's true. It just fills the head. There's nothing else in there.
Let me get that head filler out. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they pulled it out. They pulled it out through the nose. So I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know
That's
what the
right. They
hell.
did. And
Yeah,
they did.
they used to stick what looked like a wire hanger in their nose and twist it around and pull it out and glop. So they made kind of brain soup out of it, poured it on the side of the brain coming out the nose. Really gross. And and then they plugged it up with papyrus and mud.
Oh, my God.
And
That's
and and let's not forget the what was basically shellac that was poured in there.
mm-mm-mm. Yep, that's too much.
Great recipe,
Michael, you had some past lives that you mentioned before on some other podcasts. Can you, and this is a new audience that hasn't heard about it, can you tell
Okay,
us about some of your past lives?
let's go
Um,
back to the one before Michael.
okay, let's do it.
Okay, this is very weird. I had done with my teacher, who was a Reiki master, um, a past life regression, and all I saw was, well, I saw that I was in an area that was flat. It was identified as Nebraska. There were two farmhouses on either side of a dirt road, dirt pebble kind of a road. What I saw was I looked down and I saw that I was a calico cat.
Okay.
On the one side of the road was the farmhouse that I lived in. And there was a flagpole. I could see everything. There was a flagpole. There was the house. There was a barn. There was a silo. On the other side was further down the road, but was the house. And then there were fields with fences and such. What I saw was that my kittens, there were 3 or 4 kittens, climbing into the fence. They're probably getting mice and rats and such, which is what cats do. And I'm paying attention, looking and looking over at where my kittens are. And all of a sudden, a 1939 red Ford truck is coming at me. The only thing I can sense is the crushing of my bones. And I hear a girl running out of the farmhouse, Patches, Patches. I guess that was my name. And she's screaming, and then everything goes black. So the only part of that life that I know is that my kittens were safe and I was dead. I was killed. And that's pretty freaky.
That
Hmm.
Another
is.
past life, another past life before that I was aware of happened in the 17 in the six I'll call it the 18th century, like 1770 or so. I'm in India and I'm going through. I can smell the mossy dirt, the earth. I can feel leaves around me, and I'm a cobra. I can feel that I'm pushing myself forward, and I'm searching out other snakes. I guess I was a king cobra, and I feel my energy going down into a hole. I guess searching for another snake. And I didn't come out of the hole. So somewhere along the line, either I didn't make it, or that's all the energy was able to show me. But that was pretty incredible. It's very intense. When you do a past life regression, the regressionist, doesn't see anything. And they're not allowed to suggest anything. You see what goes on with you. When I work with somebody, I say to them, can you see yourself? And they're in a hypnotic state. And either I get a yes or a no. If I get a yes, I'm like, can you see what you look like? A young lady I was working with looked down into a puddle and she could see her face and her clothing and what she looked like. Okay, and she described herself. That particular life was a peasant girl in Germany, probably in the mid 13th century, based on the clothes she told me that she was in. And I asked about a positive event, a negative event, and can you come out of there? Can you see yourself ending that life? Not necessarily dying, but just that you close and go forward back into this life. It's a long process.
That's very interesting. I mean, so your past life, you were a cat and you were a
Right.
snake. You were a
Somewhere
snake.
in between, yes, and somewhere in between, and I'm going to make you laugh. I was also a French whore. Her name was Catherine. Yeah, around the time of Toulouse-Lautrec and all of those people, because I remembered the Moulin Rouge. When I saw pictures and posters of Lautrec's posters, I recognized them. I knew that life. And the funny thing is, I'm fluent in French. And when I was in school, my grades were always straight A's. I knew the language before I studied. When I saw something, I knew it was my language. I knew it. And, I didn't know why. When we did the past life, she had dyed, had red hair. She was probably only 26 when she died, and you know what she died probably of. But she was Catherine Lafleur. She was a naughty French girl in the middle of Paris in the red light district. I would
Wow.
never have chosen that for myself, but I guess somewhere along the line, my soul did. I learned how to speak French. Ça, c'est très misérable, monsieur, parce que ça, c'est une situation très étrange, very strange, but it's true. I learned to speak French very rapidly. And I think, like Aristotle said, you don't learn things, you remember them.
That's amazing. I mean, my father, he could write and read French and spoke a little bit of French because he's part French. In fact, my grandmother was known as the angry French woman,
Oh,
and,
my.
and why she was always angry, who knows? But yeah, I got a little French in me.
The only
Um,
time I have any French in me is if I'm eating a croissant.
now you've been to Egypt, right, Michael?
Yes, I have about 4 times.
Okay, 4 times. Wow. Okay. Um, Also, too, like, well, what are some of your travels? So you've been to Egypt. Where else you been to?
Italy, France,
Okay.
um, all over the Southwest, from California. I took a long trip with a friend of mine. We were picking up a car in Pismo Beach. I loved that I was down there because Bugs Bunny always took a wrong turn at Albuquerque and missed Pismo Beach. I went to Pismo Beach and Grover Beach. We drove all the way down. Um, and so I won't get into that, but so it was 15 days on the road. It was so much fun. but I've been all over California, all over New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Louisiana. Then we went down to Georgia, where I am now, Florida, and then all the way back up to Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, and then all the way back up to Ronkonkoma in Long Island. It was a long, long trip, and it was a lot of fun. But I've also been all over France, India. India was an amazing thing. A friend of mine was getting married. She was from Corona, New York, but she was an Indian. And her father was, she was on her third marriage. Her father had had enough. He had gotten a matchmaker. He was sick of the, she got two divorces. He said, look, girl, this time it's on me. And she said, oh, come on, Dad. This is traditional, though. In the Indians, a matchmaker will make the bride, bridal compacts. So she was furious, but she went to Bombay. Well, it was Bombay then, now it's Mumbai. And she met this guy whose American name was George. I have no idea what his Indian name was. I probably couldn't pronounce it. But if there is such a thing as love at first sight, it was. And all I can tell you is the wedding took 3 days. I went with her to a place called Jaipur to get all of her jewelry and a beautiful red gown that was laced with all kinds of gold. I don't know how she could walk with all that gold on. It was crazy. We had a great time. I ate way too many Indian dishes that I loved. And then we flew back. That was fun. I was all over there. I was Jaipur. I was in Agra. I was in Delhi. I was in New Delhi. I was in Mumbai. And then I went up to another friend of mine's wedding, which was in Pakistan. And I was in Karachi, and we went shopping in Lahore there. And then I've been to Japan. I've been to parts of Australia. That was another fun trip. I got attacked by a koala bear. Long story. I had a shirt on that had eucalyptus. It was paper. There was eucalyptus pressed in it, and the koala thought my shirt was delicious. Oh, I'm gonna lose you. I almost fell off my pedestal.
You know,
Tripod.
I love traveling. I've been to 59 countries and territories. I went to Paris, France with $29.
Wow.
How? Because I was in the military, and the bus ride to Paris and back was 29 bucks.
So you needed other money though. You had to eat.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I spent money on a hotel stuff, food and stuff like that. But the bus ride just to get there was 29 bucks. I couldn't pass that down. And I saw Notre Dame on Napoleon Bonaparte's gravesite, the Eiffel Tower. Um, that was great to see all those things for $29.
I wish I had done it that cheaply, but I didn't. Paris, though, I went with my first time I ever went was with my mother's brother, my Uncle Lloyd. I was about 10, and I didn't pay for anything. He took me everywhere, but every time, he was a young man, and every time he wanted to go do something, he locked me in the hotel room. And I could see the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe. He took me to the Louvre, he took me to Versailles. Um, we went to Rouen in the north of France, and I said, um, "Wow!" He said, "This is where Joan of Arc." And there again, flash. I was on the side of the river. There's two sides to Rouen, and I was on the side of the river, and I had a flashback. I was a little boy. I believe I was just one of her standard bearers, and I said to an older man in a monk suit, "Is that where?" And we were looking across the river, and I could see smoke. I didn't see her burnt at the stake, but I knew she was. So that was, and I got a horrible, like I don't even explain it. Like if you're in an astral projection, you jump back into your body. There was a shiver that happened, and that was in Rouen. I was in a hotel, and I could look out over the river, and I could see what was happening. It was a freaky thing. So I did live in France at that time, and
Wow.
I can't even look at her. I can't look at statues or things of that nature. And one of my other past lives in Egypt, his name was Ai. He was a grand vizier, and he was one of the people for the responsible for the fall of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. I was working with Horemheb, his own mother, who was Queen Tai, and the other general whose name was Ramesses the First. We overthrew him, and we brought. I remember all I remember was putting Tutankhamun on the throne, and this little boy is scared to death because you've got all this army and priests of Amun that are all shaven heads and they're in robes and they're all very severe. And I remember saying to King Tut, "See here, you little bastard. We're not going to let what happened with your father happen again." As you know, Akhenaten overthrew all of the peoples, all the other gods and goddesses. He only worshipped Aten, and he really didn't care about the country. People were starving. All he cared about was his sun disk, and that his family, his immediate family, his 6 daughters and his wife and his now adoptive King Tut was his son, but not his wife's son. He was his sister's son. But all he cared about was that thing, and the rest of the country he could go to hell. He couldn't care about. So I remember I literally can see myself saying, "Look here, this is how things are going to be, and I'm doing this with my hand, and you will follow us, and you will change your name from Tutankhaten to Tutankhamun." And that was how that happened. He was 9 years old, and he was frightened, and he should have been. We were going to kill him. So I know from my heart that that's true.
Wow, wow.
Mhm.
Um, I just want to mention that Daniel Diva is in the comments section, and she says hello to Donnie and myself. And also too, she's over at the Devonian Botanical Garden. Botanical Garden. Okay.
Botanical, yeah, botanical.
Botanical. Yes, yes. So so anyway, yeah, she's having a good time over there, and I'm pretty sure the next time that she's on, she's going to display some pictures from that garden. Um, and also too, there's people asking her. Okay, if a lot of people don't realize this, but Danielle is a descendant of Dracula. Um,
Cool.
yes, yes, I know Michael likes that, and
Mhm.
so Andrew Gnome's Trucking Express. He says he's asking Danielle if she saw the article about a person missing at Dracula Castle, and she responds that he was lost in the woods and that wolves attacked him and finished him off, unfortunately. And I'm just wondering, is was it wolves or was it werewolves? Because I mean, when I was stationed in Germany, we had the Black Forest, and they talked about werewolves being in the Black Forest.
Wow.
What do you think? What do you think about that, Michael? You believe in
Um,
werewolves?
I'm not sure. I mean, I know I'm on the fence about a lot of cryptozoology. You know, in Egypt, they also have people that can turn into snakes and into cats and crocodiles. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that they aren't like a dire wolf, like a larger species of wolf, and not human at all. That's more my inclination.
Hmm.
I have a friend. His name is Alexander Battery, and he's related to Elizabeth Battery, who was the Blood Countess. And
Yes, yes.
Danielle will know all about. Well, he lives in Holland, and his relatives are probably they're related to our hostess here, because Elizabeth Bathory was directly related to Vlad Tepes.
I know that the vampire race was had a lot of confrontations with the werewolves or wolf race in the past. I don't know if they ever made up or they still have confrontations with each other.
I have no
Yeah,
reference. I won't. I
yeah.
don't like to speak about something that I don't have any reference about. I do know that there's a lot of other different kinds of vampires, like psychic vampires, that drain your energy rather than blood.
Mhm.
That I'm very much aware of. Energy vampires, as it were, people that make you feel tired when you're hanging around with them, and suddenly they're energized. I'm sure we've all experienced that.
No, you're talking about energy vampires. Um, Energy vampires will look for an occupation in which they could be around people to drain their energy, like a history teacher. A history teacher who's very boring, monotone voice, and he puts everybody to sleep. He sucks
Oh,
out your energy. You have also two physical vampires who get jobs like a drill sergeant in the army, so they can wear you down doing exercises. Coaches who can also too wear you down. So you got physical vampires, you got energy vampires, and you have sexual vampires. Sexual vampires are a person like a who is a player. He goes from one woman to another woman, draining their energy and take sucking out their energy, and he gains all this power and he feels great. I made another conquest, blah blah blah. So those are three different type of vampires, and then of course you have your blood vampire, who takes energy from your blood by biting your neck or whatever.
well, I know about the energy vampires, and back in my youth, I could tell you from the old days of disco, people on the dance floor that you could see that people were getting energy from pulling energy away from other people. You could see that, and I mentioned the dance floor because people were going crazy. There was a friend, dancing in a frenzied pace, and all of a sudden other people around that person were exhausted. So that, I do believe in that. As far as blood vampires, I think, what I was told is there are a lot of people that work in hospitals or blood banks and things, and that they do better biting into those things or drinking it that way. Um, as far as running around with a cape on and whatever, and snarping somebody's neck, I'm not sure about that.
Uh,
Oh, oh, there's Tim. Hello.
oh,
Oh,
Hey,
here's Tim.
hey
all
Tim, how
right,
you doing?
There you go.
all right. I
We're
was
talking
able to
about
make it.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
fantastic. We're talking about the different types of vampires, and we're talking about energy vampires, physical vampires, um, uh, sexual vampires, different type of vampires that are out there. Like an energy vampire, like they take occupations where they're around people and can suck out their energy. So let's say I want to become a history teacher because I'm an energy vampire and I want to talk in a monotone voice and put everybody to sleep and suck out your energy. So, and then and then also too you have physical vampires that take jobs like a drill sergeant in the army, so they can physically wear you down with exercises.
Oh, this is
Like
gonna fuck everything up again.
a coach in high school. Um, and you also too you have your sexual vampires, who is like a player, and he goes from woman to woman, and he drains her energy because he makes these conquests. So, have you heard about that, Tim? All these different type of vampires.
I'm
Oh,
having
sure.
trouble. I don't know if you can hear me. Um,
Yeah, I saw you pop in and
I
out.
can't hear anyone now.
You can't? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
He's
we
gonna
could.
have.
Whoops. Yeah, as I say, we could hear him.
Yeah,
Can you hear us? Okay, Michael.
Michael's gone.
Hmm. He's gonna have to log out and log back in. He'll be back.
Yeah, and then there's the internet vampire.
The
It steals your
internet
bandwidth.
yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. But you, Tim, you've heard that, right? All these different type of vampires.
Oh, sure. Well, it's you're talking about the like the
Can you hear us? Okay,
war.
Michael.
Now I can. I had to
Okay.
come out
Good.
and go back in. I'm sorry.
Nice. Okay.
Welcome
Sorry about
back.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
yeah.
Well, it's what's the show? What We Do in the Dark. the television show about vampires in the
Oh, what we do
21st
in the shadows.
century.
Yeah,
What We Do in the
love
Shadows.
that
That's
show.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Love
yeah.
that
I
show.
love that show.
Yeah, what one of them being an energy vampire who plays it off very well, and I think we've all worked with people who were like that.
Narcissistic people.
But enough about me. What about me? What do you think of me? Yeah.
Exactly. Except like Paul said, they deliver everything in such a way as to either bore you or enrage you, and sometimes a combination of the two.
I had an
But
algebra teacher like that.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Isn't it funny how some? It seems like there are a lot of teachers who are like that. I mean, we've all had teachers that we remember as having a big impact on our lives in the positive sense, and then there are the ones who have a big impact on our lives in a negative sense. And, it makes you wonder whether or not that they are feeding off of that youthful energy.
I believe my swimming coach was like that. He would put us through our paces. We do 50, 60 laps in an Olympic sized pool. You come out, I don't care who you are, you'd be exhausted. And he would be fine. He
So,
would be bumping up
so
and down. And
he was a physical vampire. Then.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
very much so.
yeah, because yeah, I was amazed at all the different type of vampires, and then oh, they even had one was a anger vampire. So they purposely look for people that they can argue with and get upset with, and they drain your energy by arguing with you.
There's also astral vampires, people that can leave their bodies astrally, go to someone else and take their energy that way too. That much I do know about.
Yeah,
Well,
There
that's
you go
interesting.
again.
Paul, that's kind of what the late Paulino was saying about
I give up.
certain
Can you hear
poltergeist
me? I
cases.
can't hear anybody.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you, Michael. I'm sorry, Tim.
Well, I was,
21st
Paulino.
century technology.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Paulino, he talked about certain poltergeist cases involving parasites, as he called them, that would invade, homes, businesses, or whatever, and cause the mischief that for centuries we've attributed to poltergeist, all for the reason of drawing off the energy of the fear and anger that they produce. And I mean, he had like a big classification of different types of these things, these entities uh, that that he thinks are responsible for a lot of these cases. And I asked him one time if he thought, and we talked about this last week, Paul. If like the black-eyed kids could be a form of these types of vampires or parasites, however you want to call them. Let's face it. I mean, a vampire would be like a parasite. In fact, I think that uh, maybe it was Bram Stoker who at one point described Dracula after he had fed as looking bloated like a tick in his coffin.
Aren't those black-eyed kids grown-ups by now?
You would think so. Uh,
Yeah,
the Gen Z black-eyed kids we're dealing with now.
Michael's trying to get on. I can see Michael trying to get on, and Donnie Cho can bring him on, but I don't see where Donnie Cho is.
Hmm.
Huh. I don't know. And Donnie Cho's off. And Michael's trying to get on. And Michael's talking, but we can't hear him.
What's going
Oh,
Can't
on?
there's
seem to
Donnie.
hear
Here it is.
Okay, there's Michael.
Hi. I don't know what happened. I keep bouncing off and on. I don't understand it. This is kind of interesting. You
Hmm.
know, I told you
Welcome
the
back
other.
again.
You're
Tim
back
called it.
too.
Yeah, Tim said it's an internet vampire.
I don't know. All I know is I keep bouncing off and on. It's really kind of strange. I
Yeah.
did tell you that I had, and I showed you, Paul, that I had a haunting this week.
Oh, yes,
yeah?
yes. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Tim, there was a writing on my back wall. It says, "Please kiss me good night." It doesn't say what Donnie said. I had other people look at it, and it is, "Please kiss me good night." It wasn't a name. It's not Leroy, whatever his name was. That's not what it says. It does say very clearly, "Good night.
Mhm.
Please kiss me good night." And that's strange. I do have a female ghost in my living room, but she's never done anything like that. She's basically a loop. Her name is Eleanor um, Collins. She died in 1880. She was a smokehouse worker on the plantation that might have been here during the Civil War. She was freed in 1864. And she stayed there like a lot of other slaves. She had nowhere else to go. So she just stayed there. And all I get from her is, "I'm waiting for my man to come back." You know, like that song from Diana Ross, "Last Time I Saw Him." That's what it is. She's like a loop. She's not even, I don't think she's a full ghost. I call her a memory. But there was a writing. I can't bring this camera over to show you, but there's writing on the wall. It says, "Please kiss me goodnight." My roommate saw it first, and we had just gone to dinner, and we were watching TV in my room. I came back home after dinner, and he says, "Michael, look." And up on the wall, there was, "Please kiss me goodnight." It looks like it's written in either charcoal or dust.
Hmm.
Really spooky. What do you think of that, Tim?
Well,
You're
was
the
there
ghost
anything?
expert.
Well, was there anything going on leading up to this appearing?
No, that was what's so weird. We went to dinner. It wasn't on the wall earlier. And I looked up above my bed, about 7 feet above my bed, and, "Please kiss me goodnight." You'd have to have a step ladder to write that
Hmm.
if you were human.
Do you have the picture on your phone, Michael?
I don't think I'll be able to show it to you. Um, I keep bouncing out of here, so I'm not sure how I can do that.
Oh, no, don't worry about it. Okay.
You have the picture, Paul. You're more adept at these things, and Donnie certainly is. You have the picture. Are you able to project it so people can see it?
And also, too, if I do a
Um,
little
let me
bouncing,
see if I can do it.
I'll get
Okay.
lost. Yeah.
Thanks, Donnie, wherever you are.
Hmm.
No,
I'm
I
the
don't
He's
want
witch.
to
more
get
tech
lost.
savvy.
I'm the witch, and I'm not good at popping in and out like that.
And is he better at popping in and out of realities instead?
Oh, come on. You do that at the DMV.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's writing on the wall is one of the steps that takes place with certain poltergeist hauntings. I keep bringing up the poltergeist, but you've once they start writing on things and the walls and stuff, it's just then a quick trip from there to actually starting to speak out loud.
Well,
So
Eleanor Collins does from time to time, but all she says is, "I'm just waiting for my man to show up."
mhm.
Hmm.
I know how she feels.
I don't have access to the wire that connects my phone to here,
Okay.
unfortunately. So normally I would though, but
I
I
don't see
just
on
moved, so everything is still kind of boxed up.
I don't see on the dashboard that's below this that I have the capacity to do that.
No, you wouldn't be able to. Yeah, you have to have
I
access
mean,
to the
I'm
shop.
just a
Yeah,
participant,
yeah.
right? So I can't really do that.
Okay, so tell Michael, take us to the beginning about the haunting at your house. So,
The
how
one
did
here,
all?
or I grew up in a haunted house, as it were, too. You know that.
Okay, let's go to both stories.
Okay,
Tell us about, yeah, tell us
the
about the
haunted
first one.
house haunted house in Uniondale, Long Island. I hope those people that are not listening. I don't know if he's still there. A little boy named Frankie Cullen fell out of a tree in my backyard in 1952 or 53 and died. He was 9 years old. He went upstairs. He had a crack and a fracture in his bones in the back of his neck, and apparently he must have twisted his head, and the fracture was enough to kill him. He died in his sleep, I'm told. I wasn't born yet, so I don't know. Jump up ahead to 1961. My parents buy this house from a lady, um, Frankie's mother. Now, she doesn't tell anybody that he's been there, and I believe she knew. So by the time I was, oh, I don't know, 6, we started hearing things. My brother was born when I was 3. So my mother didn't need me to have the kids screaming at me while I'm in the same room with him. So my mother said, Michael, you want to have a bedroom upstairs? And I was a pretty progressive little kid. I said, sure, mommy. So I ran upstairs. I had my own room. I thought I was cool, you know. Frankie's bedroom was on the other side, which later became my brother's. I wasn't in that room, but I'd hear running footsteps across the landing where the stairs were, and I'd hear laughing and clapping. And the thing that scared my mom the most was that I had, I guess you call it a hope chest in front of my bed, and I had all my stuffed animals in it. Well, my mother came upstairs, and the stuffed animals were walking on my bed. My mother dropped, her jaw dropped, and the animals fell automatically. You know, being a witchy kid, I thought maybe I did that, but I didn't. I'm not, I wasn't on Bewitched, okay? I'm not Tabitha. So I didn't do that. Frankie did, and I didn't know that yet. But things got worse. I was a child actor. My scripts would disappear, costume pieces would disappear. And the funny thing is, it went on and on and on for years. He stole money. He would put money from the 1950s into our pockets. And you're in the 1970s, and suddenly you've got 1950 quarters or 50-cent pieces, and they're old. They look old. And there's magazines. When we moved, there were magazines from the 1950s and newspapers from the 19 that he must have stored in the eaves. We couldn't get there till we broke down a door between my brother's bedroom and inside the eaves, the inside of a skinny little attic, and we saw those things. When I was 19, my teacher, my mentor, and I did something by an alchemist, sorcerer whose name was John Dees, who was the alchemist and sorcerer for Queen Elizabeth I. And the ritual was called the necromancy of intelligence. And what happened was, it's supposed to make a spirit, it's kind of like what happened in Beetlejuice, shall we say. We were able to manifest that little boy. And what happened, we didn't see him, but we heard him. A light shaft came from somewhere, and we heard a quiet noise. It was a strange noise at first. Frankie, 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 come home, come back. And I heard Grammy. That was the only word I heard out of his mouth. Grammy. The light disappeared and he was gone. And from that time on in the house, it was empty. It was void. It was a very strange feeling not to have. I grew up with this ghost, and it was a very strange feeling not to have a ghost in the house.
Wow.
It was you have no idea. It was like losing a friend. Well, he was my playmate when I was a little boy. You know, I mean, I knew he was there. I could hear laughing in the hallway or running up. He was running up and down the stairs. We had carpeted stairs, but you could hear his footsteps. And he did other little things, like he would move things. My mother had, again, a big hope chest at the landing of the stairs, and there was all kinds of little. My mother would call them knickknacks all over, and he would move them around. You didn't see him move them, but one would be where it's a vase or something. My mother had ballerina statues and things that were from when she was a young lady, and they were all over the place. And I got in trouble, and so did my brother, for moving them. We didn't. He did. You can't tell my mother, "Oh, Mom, the ghost did it." My mother didn't believe in ghosts. All the time he was there, nobody believed us. We were two boys, and it was like, oh, it's a kid's fantasy. Well, it wasn't, and it was spooky.
It's interesting because various parapsychologists say that ages from 1 to 8 that people have psychic abilities. These
Hmm.
children from ages 1 to 8, and they usually lose it after age 8. But other people keep it. They become
Hmm.
their popular psychics, like Sylvia Brown or whatever. Um, and it's always funny that they have imaginary friends. They're able to talk to a spirit from the other side, and it becomes their friend.
Well, that's interesting. My sister had an invisible friend downstairs, and her name was Cynthia. And what's strange is the block at the end of my block was named Cynthia Road. So I was always wondering if there was a spirit or somebody that was killed on that road, and she took the name Cynthia. I don't know what to say about that. What do you think, Tim?
Oh, lots of kids have imaginary friends, and they always, like Paul pointed out, they all seem to stop by around the age of 8 or 9, which
Hmm.
I always thought was kind of funny. Um, but if you consider though how many people in, say, like the area that you live in, all right, Michael, like where your house was, Paul, where you live now, where you grow up, anywhere. How many people have lived and died just in that particular area?
Well, funny you should say that. There was a huge, famous cemetery, not more than maybe 3 blocks from me, called Greenfield Cemetery, and it's
Mm-hmm.
from the 1700s. There are graves in there from 1840, from 1643, 1680s, and such. On into the Revolutionary War, et cetera, et cetera. It's a very, very old. It was a Dutch created cemetery. That area, Hempstead, was founded by the Dutch.
Yeah. So I mean, considering that, Paul, Mike, that it's a wonder that the house that you grew up in there didn't have more spirits running around, hiding in your closets or under your bed. Uh, uh, so
But we
just
just had the little. We just had that little boy.
yeah, just the
And
little
I, I
boy, or
I'll tell you
maybe
something.
your, yeah. Go ahead.
All I was going to say was I got it sounds really weird. I got used to him being there.
What
No,
did your
that.
mother believe was the explanation for the toys dancing by themselves or moving by
Hmm.
Well,
themselves?
the funny thing is, they were all those. FAO Schwartz had stuffed animals. I don't know if you guys are old enough that had sawdust in them. They were little. They were like Noah's Ark. You had two zebras, two lions, et cetera, et cetera. My mother threw them all away the next day.
Hmm.
I think my mother was freaked. She never said anything. She said that she brought, because that night she had brought the play chest down into the basement, and she said that there was a flood in the basement and that they all rotted, or were going to get, there were waterlogged, and she threw them out. I don't remember a flood in the basement, but I do know that she threw them all away. I know she was probably frightened.
Did she believe in ghosts then?
She never said so.
Oh, wow.
No,
You know,
my mother was very pragmatic, very, very practical, very quote unquote down to earth, whatever that really means. She believed in here and now. She didn't believe in anything spiritual or such. It was funny because after this incident, she suddenly started to go to church more. She didn't do that when I
Hmm.
was a little child. I didn't even know what an angel was. and I found out I was named after an archangel.
And that's the reason why I became a paranormal investigator, because I lived in a haunted house as a small boy. It was on Effie Street in Fresno, California, and the things that happened to me there, I will never forget. It was I could when I think about it, it's like it happened yesterday. Um, uh, One of the entities pushed me into a heater and burned my leg. That was the start of it. Um, I went to my bedroom window and there was an orange grove out there, and I can hear a woman's voice saying, calling me by my middle name, just like my parents did, saying, Dale, come here. Dale, come here. And
Ooh.
it sounded like my mother's voice. And my mother was in the kitchen, but something out in that orange grove was trying to entice me to go out there in that orange grove. And if I did, what would have happened? I would have
Oh, I get a
probably,
chill. I do. I got a chill. That's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
no, I mean, it was like you would have found me on a milk carton, missing. Um, um, and then what really creeped me out about that house was on one night I heard these like rolling wheels coming down the sidewalk, and the rolling wheels parked itself right underneath my bedroom window. And my bedroom, and this I swear, bedroom window opened halfway, and this thing that looked like a black tea kettle floated up to that half open window, and its snout pointed towards me and sprayed me with some kind of mist. I started hacking and coughing. My mother comes rushing into the room. What's wrong with you, Dale? And I
Oh my
said, oh
God.
no, I can't breathe. And da da da. And so she runs into the bathroom and she gets a teaspoon of poison. She thought it was cough syrup and gives me poison. And then she realizes what she did, because back in those days, they had the skull and the bones, the crossbones. And she goes, oh my God, I gave you poison. She took me to the toilet, stuck her finger in my mouth, and made me throw it all up. So that happened. And then the next day, I had these like little skull figures with wings that were flying into my bedroom. And then my dad comes in and goes, what are you yelling and screaming about? And his face was a skull. That place, I mean, I was tormented. I was the center of attention for these entities. When we moved away from there, it all stopped. But
Paul, can I ask you a question?
yeah,
What I'm getting is a tombstone with wings on a skull. How far away was the cemetery from your bedroom window? How far
from
was the nearest
Effie
cemetery?
Street, I said about 5 blocks.
Okay, because what I'm seeing is a gray a gray slate tombstone shaped kind of like this, and I'm seeing a skull with wings, almost like a Cinco de Mayo, or Deus de la Muerto skull with wings on it, and I believe it's um, a child's tombstone,
Hmm.
and I
Um,
believe his mother died not far from the tombstone. That she couldn't handle the fact that she lost her child,
hmm,
and that she was angry with you because you resembled the child.
hmm.
And I don't think the poison was an accident. I think they moved the medicine bottle and the poison bottle, and that's why your mother made that mistake. Your mother was a very detailed woman, and she wouldn't have made that kind of a mistake. That I can see.
That makes sense.
Mm.
I gotta tell you, Michael, where you were talking about Cleopatra, and wasn't it
No.
Elizabeth Taylor that was playing Cleopatra?
Yes, very yes. I
Okay,
was madly in love with her all my life.
check this out. People used to tell my mother that she looked like Elizabeth Taylor.
She must have been very beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so anyway, yeah, with all these ghosts and everything, and when that happened to me, I was like 7 years old. So, but after that, I never had any psychic experiences or anything like that. Um, People, when I used to do paranormal investigations, people used to go, "Paul, what do you feel?" I don't feel nothing because I'm not a psychic. So, yeah, I lost all of that.
I think you blocked it out. You are psychic. You blocked that energy away because of what happened to you. You know, you can, from what I know, from my own experiences, that you can turn off or somehow block that center in the brain where you can do these paranormal things. And I think people do that out of fear. And you certainly had a frightening experience. So I think you actually turned that part of your brain off so that you couldn't be receptive to that kind of energy again, like you kind of blocked it. You know what I mean? What do you think? Again, Tim or Sue, what do you think of that?
Yeah, that was my impression because sometimes childhood trauma will allow you to stop doing something because, like you said, you're afraid to experience it again, you're afraid to invoke it again, you don't want to live through it again. But it's one thing to view it in another point of view, which is what you were doing, Paul, for doing your paranormal stuff. You're doing it in a different point of view when you go into a haunted house and you have devices and technology and you listen for ghosts or look for them. It's totally different than having the psychic ability to actually physically see them in the way that a lot of us can when we do have those abilities turned on, that we can not only just see them but feel them. And I think the part of you that you possibly have turned off was feeling them when you just kind of resorted to just seeing them. What do you think? Does that sound accurate, Paul?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. Um, like when I was doing paranormal investigating, which I'm retired from now. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm a podcaster. But anyway, um, I still get calls on the phone. Oh, my house is on. It's like, sorry, I just don't do that no more. But anyway, um, but what I used to do is test my psychics, and one of my psychics was really good. Um, she would say, "There's a ghost on the couch," and she'll point to where the ghost is. So I tell my investigators to take a picture, and they take a picture, and there's a mist on the couch. And I said, "All right, that's good. Okay." And then she goes, "Well, now the ghost is behind the couch." I said, "Take pictures, you guys." They take pictures, and there's a mist behind the couch.
Did
Those,
you use all those devices they use to see electronically and with sound waves and radar and such? Have you used all those devices as well?
right, right here, Michael, right here,
Ah, okay.
right here.
You
You,
know that I said I worked for LIPE, Long Island Paranormal Investigators, for 5 years. I was their spiritual advisor, and I cleared houses, so I know what that's like, and it's really traumatic, especially traumatic for the people that are living in them.
yeah, night vision goggles. When I'm ready to bless the house, I mean, I got the holy water, you name it.
Well, let me ask you about that. That's Christian. Now, not all spirits are Christian, and not all
No,
spirits are going to
no,
respond
no, no,
to Christian things.
Michael, I
You
got
know,
your
I
answer.
wonder.
I got your answer.
Okay.
When I had a paranormal team, we had a whole range of cleansers. We
Mm-hmm.
had two Miwok Indians, Miwok Native Americans, who can cleanse the house. We had a
Mm-hmm.
shaman. We had Greek Orthodox. We had Hindu. We had Buddha. We what else did we have? Um, Christian, Catholic, which is me. Um, yeah, we had it all covered. We had all these different religions, and we even had Native American people and a shaman. So, We respect all religions. So if we were investigating a house and the person was Hindu, we had a cleanser. This person right here is Hindu. They will cleanse your house. So that's how we deal with it.
Well, I'm a witch, okay, and
Oh, we
I've been
and we had Wiccan.
and I used it. I'm not a Wiccan. I'm a witch. There's a big difference.
Oh,
I
which?
use an Ankh because of my Egyptian energies.
Mhm.
Okay,
And
so
yeah, and also too, Danielle's going to have a guest who is a witch, and she does her own cleansings. Her
okay,
name's Carolyn Castro, and she's going to be a guest on. Yeah, but we had everything covered.
okay. That was the reason I
Well,
asked
pretty much
because
everything.
there's a lot of spirits are going to say, "Ha ha," like if you're dealing with what people that like do on Skinwalker Ranch, you throw Christian holy water at them or a cross, and they're going to say, "That's nice. What is
Yeah,
that?"
we don't do we don't do that. We don't do that.
You know, big
No,
deal.
yeah, we don't.
That's
Yeah,
not my thing, man. You know, I can just see that.
yeah. We don't do that. Uh, like there was some ghost hunting groups, and they went to a place where they practiced Buddhists. They were
Buddhism.
Buddhists,
Okay.
and and um and then they try to do the Christian thing in there, and the guy goes is a Buddhist, and I told him, I said, hey, you have to respect his religion. You need to find a Buddhist cleanser. So they came to me and they said, can we borrow your Buddhist cleanser? I said, yeah, you can.
Okay, but that's the person that's living there currently, right? How do
Yeah.
you know what this? How do you know what the ghost was believing? You
So,
know, you may be living with a Buddha. You may be doing it for a Buddhist, and suddenly you've got a Native American tribe's spirit,
oh yeah,
or
I
you've
mean
got,
that.
you've got whatever else, a Christian, or you've got a
Yeah,
Jew. What are you going to do then?
well, that happens, and but if the person living in that house, we have to respect his wishes. And if he says, "I don't want a Catholic blessing, I want a Buddhist blessing," and that's what we provide.
But
And
I'm
yes,
talking about the
I
actual,
know
the
the ghost.
spirit. But this,
I
I'm
know
talking
the
about the
spirit.
spirit. You know what I mean? How do you know what the spirit wanted?
We don't know. We don't
Hmm.
know unless a psychic can somehow prove what that ghost religion is. But that I have never seen that happen.
Okay, I was curious all these years watching paranormal things and even being involved with it. I was always wondering about that kind of thing. You know,
Yeah,
what
yeah. All right.
have you have an answer for that, Tim?
Well, it got me thinking. Your discussion. We had a guest on a couple of times on a couple of the shows that I used to do. That he had a house. Him and his fiance got a house in Bothell, Washington. In fact, he's written several books called "The Bothell Hell House," and they just had all kinds of ghostly problems, and we're taking advice from all over the different place. Everything that Paul was talking about. Holy water, saging, you name it. At one point he said that somebody had suggested that you play pleasant music in the house, and that the spirits wouldn't like pleasant music. And so they turned the radio on to like an easy listening station, and when they left they could still hear the music coming from the house out in their driveway. Nobody else was in the house, and all of a sudden he said the music, you could hear it changing channels, and then it stopped and started playing heavy metal music.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and everything that they tried to do, um, nothing really worked. I mean, they tried the saging and the blessings and stuff like that, and it just all, it just nothing really ever worked. And it wasn't until they finally ended up moving. And even then, the guy said that his new apartment for a while seemed to have like some after effects going on.
Hmm.
So, it really is. Sometimes I think it's just the luck of the draw on how successful these attempts are to get rid of, whatever these entities are.
Well, in my experience, if they were having problems with um, the house and then they moved, they were having problems somewhere else, there might have been an object like a doll or a chair or a piece of something that they took from that old house that they had left there when they were in the house, even if it was just something that they bought and brought to the house and brought it to the next place, that might have had some kind of energy in it.
Oh yeah, and Michael, what you're
Mhm.
talking about, there's this case where this woman, she went to an antique store and she bought a grandfather's clock. She brought the grandfather's clock into her home. Her house became haunted. Cabinets were opening, footsteps were heard, disembodied voices, all kinds of things. And she was going, "What am I going to do? How come my house is haunted?" It's because you bought the grandfather clock in there and it has energy attached to it. When she returned it back to the antique shop and got her money back, her house stopped being haunted.
Mm,
Yeah. And
that's
you're talking about cleansers. I got to mention one thing. We also, too, had a voodoo cleanser.
hmm
And we had two voodoo cases, and she came just in time. She happened to be a federal agent. She always carried her gun and everything else. Federal agent, but her mother was born and raised in Haiti. Her mother was a voodoo queen, and she learned how to do a voodoo cleansing.
Wow. Well, I'm right smack in the middle of a lot of voodoo here because it's Savannah's famous for those kind of magics. There are people called Gulagichi, and they are you if you ever read Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, that took place right here in Savannah. There are many, many houses in town that are extremely haunted, but also you do have these people here. I believe the woman's name was Minerva in the book, who was a voodoo priestess. And there's a large colony of those people here in Savannah. The witches in this area are all literally in the broom closet. I'm the only one, I'm one of the few people that practices witchcraft in the world, well, in Savannah. It's out in the open. I don't hide anything about my life. I believe in living, my tradition in Egypt says ma'at, which is to live in truth or live your truth. So I live with my life out loud, out in the open. You can tell I'm just shy. I don't have any accoutrement of my people around me, right? Yeah. Okay, I've got Ra hiding behind me. So all of that's out in the open. And I believe my energy in this house is now very serene. Well, except for that one little haunting 2 minutes and 2 days ago. But that's gone. That energy's not in the house at all anymore. I don't know if it was just what I believe it was a passing spirit who just needed a kind of a psychic hug. Kiss me goodnight, please. And maybe that's all she wanted to say. And the writing is very feminine. My editor for my magazine, which is Today's Witch magazine, his name is Edward Sott. He's a very powerful psychic. And he said he felt the woman's name was Marianne. There was a whole scenario that he had about it, and it made sense. The writing looks like something that a person that was alive in the 1930s would write. The way that they taught them how to do script writing.
Michael, that's funny that you would say that because I was going to tell you, um, look up the haunting of the Borley Rectory, which was supposedly like the most haunted house in England. And at one point, one of the ministers and his wife that was living there, the whatever was going on in that place was writing on the wall. And if you can find the pictures if you look it up, where this entity is asking for prayers and is directly addressing the wife of that house, whose name was Marianne. Something, yeah,
Oh
Marianne,
God.
I think is what it was. Yeah,
Well, you know what's
and
weird about that?
go ahead.
My editor said that the woman was haunting wrote that her name was Marianne. You just
Mhm.
made me jump.
Well, the spirit, I mean, it was writing out this woman's name. It was like, Marianne, pray, help, prayer, asking for prayers and that sort of thing. Like I said, you should be able to find the pictures of this writing, but the writing closely resembles, I think, the writing from the photograph that you sent me.
Well, that's what I mean. It's very obviously a feminine handwriting. It looks like I can see a woman doing this. It's not a masculine handwriting. It's feminine handwriting. And he came up with a scenario that the woman was about 16 years old. He said that he felt that there was a boyfriend who was older. There's a grave outside my development. It's on Chatham Parkway here. And what my publisher was saying was that it was a dirt road, which is now Chatham Parkway, that in a rainy night in Georgia, uh, that he was carrying moonshine in barrels, and that the truck tipped over and he was crushed under it, and she, as out of grief, committed suicide.
Hmm.
And I believe in a way that that's true. And I think maybe this was the anniversary of some sort. I don't know. We were trying to figure it out, but she's not there anymore. The energy's
Hmm.
gone. My bedroom is extremely clear. I know that as a psychic, that the energy's not there anymore. I was just taken back that that was written on the wall like that.
Just a passing fancy.
I suppose so.
Hey,
Like I said, maybe she wanted a psychic hug.
Michael, somebody told me that you have a story in here. It's
Yes, I do.
it's called the persistence of ghosts, real ghost encounters, residual hauntings, and the theory behind why spirits persist. So, what story did you put in here, Michael?
I talked about the haunting of Setnakam Wesset, and I also talked about Frankie Cohen, the little ghost I grew up with.
Oh, okay, okay. And
And Tim found it interesting, so it got published. Right, right, Tim.
yeah,
That's right. It was interesting.
Both things are
Right,
true
right in the
stories.
like the first, yeah, like right in the first couple of chapters. In fact,
yeah,
And
very
I
good.
hear you're in there too, also, Paul. And of
Yeah,
course, there's this guy that we don't know who's not here right now named Hercules, and he's in there too.
Michael, remember I was telling you there was a Carolyn Castro who's a witch.
Yes.
She's now in the messenger part. She's saying hello, Donnie, and Donnie's saying hi, Castro. So you might want to. Her name's Carolyn Castro. You might want to say hello to her.
How do I do that?
Just say hello.
Oh, wait, I see, I see. In
We
Yeah,
can see and
chat?
hear you
Is it in chat or comments?
in the chat.
Whoops, I'm very bad at this. I'm gonna knock my phone off again.
no. Just say hello to her. That's all.
Oh, hello, Carolyn. That's
Yeah,
probably
yes.
easier.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we covered all the ghosts in your home, the Egypt. You were, oh, Michael disappeared.
And
He's
why I
Okay,
back.
keep getting knocked off. It's really not fun.
okay.
I mean, I've got there's probably a ghost in my studio room here that's
I was
doing all
just getting
kinds of.
ready to. Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, are you sure the ghost is gone and is not
Oh,
now?
I'm not in the same room. That's my bedroom. This is a little tiny off room, like a
It's just
utility room that I'm doing in here.
it's It's just moved. It's,
The knife, honestly.
yeah, that's right. The name of them.
I don't have that problem on other kind of formats. It just happens just today on here. I don't know. Maybe it's a connection thing, or I don't know. It is going to have a thunder shower here, or it is already. I can't tell because I can't. I'm not near a window.
And Tim, Michael earlier tonight was talking about how the Egyptians, when they were mummifying their brothers and sisters or whatever, um, they were taking the brain out through the nose, and it almost sounds like a transorbital lobotomy in a way. Um, have you heard about that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think they would like put like a big hook
Hmm.
up the nose and then
Ugh, God.
up
Kind
and
of
pull
swish it
everything else.
around like like an oversized food processor, and then
Yeah.
kind of pour it out the nostrils.
Mm.
Can we say
But no,
disgusting?
Yeah, which I suppose if you're a dad, it doesn't really matter. But
Well, they didn't
when
know
I,
what the brain like I was saying. I made them all laugh. The brain was just kind of head filler.
Is that where the expression "pudding for brains" came from?
I don't know, but I mean, there's a lot of people around here that they still have their brains, and it's kind of a cavity anyway. So.
when I was in the army and when I was working as an MP, military policeman, I had the opportunity to go to an autopsy on a fellow soldier, and but then on that night that I was supposed to go to the autopsy, I was assigned to do something else. So I missed out, but I'm glad I missed out because they said that a lot of people who see autopsies, they pass out. And I think I would have passed out.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it. I don't think I want to see that.
I
And
don't want to say
embalming sounds disgusting. Also,
oh,
they stick a thing. They stick a thing in one end, and they stick another tube in another end, and the blood goes out one way, and the formaldehyde goes in the other way, and you get all pudgy.
I guess like seeing someone get bleeding or something like that. It's
Well,
just, yeah. I could never be a doctor.
Well, when I was 18 years old, we were going to do first my mother's and father's 20th anniversary. Thank God I was 18; they were 20 years. Um, I was cutting canvas with a barber shear, and I missed, and I had to have 6 stitches in my index finger. And my aunt took me to the Hempstead General Hospital, and they thought I was a monster because I wanted to see them sewing my finger up. I'd never had stitches before. I'd never had. They were pumping Novocaine into my finger. It was gushing out all over the place, and I wanted to see what they were doing because I'd never seen anybody get stitches before. And the nurse said I was a monster. It was my finger. I wanted to know what the hell they were doing to me.
Oh my god!
And the
So,
next day, I had to go to the prom with a stitchy finger.
Michael, you work for a magazine. Can you tell
Right.
everybody what magazine you work for? And
Well, I am a feature writer regularly once a month. We are the only monthly periodical for pagan people. It is called Today's Witch. It is published by a man named Edward Sott, who is a brilliant psychic. He was an Alexandrian high priest and brilliant, brilliant teacher. I can't say enough wonderful things about him. He's become a dear friend like you and Tim and Sue. Donnie, we're working on it. and So you can get me there at Michael K at today'switch.net, or you can just, you can see my articles just like in Tim's books. I have an article once a month, today'switch.net. You can also get us, like everybody else, like including Tim and you, on Amazon. I am there. Today's Witch magazine is on Amazon also. If you want any of my services, you can go to Phone a Wizard because I'm the wizard of Phone a Wizard on Facebook, or you can call me directly at 516-650-3691. You can get me at Michael K. Waterman on Facebook also. I'm very easily accessible, just like the rest of you guys.
Fantastic. Donnie, how much more time have we got to go?
Well, we can end whenever. There's
Oh,
really
really?
there's
Okay.
no specific deadline.
Well, Tim, where can people buy your book?
Well, right now, the best place would be to go to Amazon.com. And it will also soon be available on in your local bookstores or library. And I please encourage everyone to patronize both of those. Um, and currently, the Persistence of Ghosts is being sold at a special price for the paperback edition, and it that price will soon go up. So if you're interested in ghosts and spirits and some of the most fantastic writers out there like Paul and Michael, then I definitely encourage you to get the Persistence of Ghosts, because we've got some really excellent cases and some just fantastic ideas and hypotheses on the nature of ghosts and spirits and the paranormal. And I'm really proud of this book, and I'm really proud of everybody who has contributed to this book.
I was very honored to be part of it, and thank you so much, Tim.
Yes.
Like I said, you got one of the first few chapters at the beginning of the book. So I mean, it's just great that I've been able to rope you all in. I mean, include you all in into writing for these books. And if anybody's interested, you can also visit my website, which is timrswartz.com.
And one of the stories that I placed in the book, I get a lot of people ask me about my demon cases. They're saying, are these demon cases real or make believe or what? And I have a whole listing of some of my strangest demon cases. So, and I'm not going to explain it to you here. You would have to get this book to find out. I mean, some of the stuff, some of the demon cases that I experience are shocking. I kid you not. Tim, am I right about that? Are they shocking?
They are. They are shocking. Yeah.
They're shocking. I'm telling you. Sue, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, if you want, you can actually book appointments with me. I help people with any of the things that ails them, which is depression, anxiety, um, things that happen in their lives. I'm a meditation specialist, and you can contact me on Facebook and Facebook Messenger. So under Sue McClure. That's SOOMCCLURE. You can also book appointments and email me as well, and that's under Sue Lightworker. That's SOOLIGHTWORKER at gmail.com. Um, I also have a website now, so it's littlesue.com, LITTLESOO.com, and I also do greeting cards as well. So people can contact me. I have my phone number on there. If people want to get a hold of me to make an appointment. I'm also on Twitter, and I'm also on Instagram as well.
Dang, Stu, you're all over the place, huh?
Yep. I'm very easy to find. I'm actually very easy to find.
And she's extremely worth it. She's got a heart of diamond gold. Honest to God.
You.
Donnie, how can people get a hold of you?
YouTube channel, Donnie Cho Says Stuff. You can look up my name on Facebook. I really just use Facebook and YouTube. I don't mess with Instagram. Or TikTok.
Yeah, we're all on YouTube.
Yeah, it's all on YouTube. Donnie Cho Says Stuff is my channel.
I think TikTok's time is up.
Yeah.
And what do you guys think about all that AI? Uh, Now that they have AI, I've been using it a lot for images. I love comic book stuff, so I do like with Michael's thing. I have him on a camel. I got the pyramids of Giza
I
behind him.
love that. That was
It
awesome.
was such a, I used it as
I
my
love
page
that.
this morning. It was so cool. I love
I
it.
loved
I
it.
can't thank you enough. I never looked so good.
Are you guys utilizing that? I mean, like for images. I mean, whatever
Yeah, it's
you
fun.
dream of, you can
Yeah.
actually create now.
Did you
Well,
notice there's a it's I don't know what the medicine is, but there's a one with a doctor, a young doctor, and he's recommending this particular medication. And if you look at him, his hands are much smaller than his body and his face, and they're a little too perfect. And it took
Hmm.
me a couple of times to watch the commercial, and I thought, my God, he's AI. And it shocked me because they're looking and showing him to be real, and he's AI.
Well, in my opinion, I think AI has been brought out to muddy the waters of what things that are being disclosed out. So it's hard for us to determine what is actually real and what is not because there's people out there because of the iPhones and the technology. There's people out there that are recording UFOs, paranormal, and things like that. Even showing mermaids, dragons, and all of that. And when you see these things, you can't tell which are the AI videos and pictures and which are the fake ones. Some of them are obvious, but some of them makes you go, maybe. So, but they do it because they want to muddy the water for those who are blabbermouths and will put the real things out, and they want people to start screaming right away, "That's AI! That's AI!" Even if it was real or is real.
I was a makeup artist for many years, glam as well as horror. And now AI has kind of destroyed the whole special effects industry,
Yeah.
where we would spend hours doing something in latex or silicone. Um, one, two, three, there it is on AI. So all those makeup artists have really become superfluous. And you've lost a whole industry that Hollywood was practically built up on. I was watching something earlier, the Seven Voyages of Sinbad with Ray Harryhausen's special effects, which I really love. Well, all of that can be done in about 2 minutes now with an animated creature. So all that work went out the window.
But it just doesn't have that, I don't know, that physicality, I suppose would be the term, of Harryhausen's work
No.
compared to CGI or AI now. I mean, it just I don't know. There's just and I suppose I'm being old fashioned because I did grow up on practical effects and stop motion animation and things, and CGI especially. I mean, uh, it's gotten to the point where if it's good, it looks pretty good, but if it's bad, it's pretty bad. And and it just does not have that sense of reality, I think, that practical effects have. And I don't think it ever will. And who knows about AI? I mean, we are just in the very earliest stages of it. I mean, think about how the internet has changed our lives and how it used to be. um we lived our lives without the internet, and how earth shaking it has been for the subsequent generations. AI is going to be like that, so it's going to be interesting to see which direction it goes.
I mean, I have an alarm in the morning and it goes off, and my first thing out of my mouth is, hey Siri, turn off my alarm, instead of me getting up and doing it. Or I'll go into the living room and, Alexa, what's the weather for today? I mean, I'm not reading the newspaper anymore. I'm not even looking out the window. I'm asking my AI what's going on. And that's a
Mhm.
little disconcerting, but I kind of like it, which is weird.
Well, is it going to come to the point where you're going to have something implanted in you that will do all of that?
I can't do it, but there's a very dirty
Yeah.
joke about that.
I'm staying far away from that.
Well,
It's interesting.
the only thing I can tell you is the punchline is, "Oh my God, I'm getting a fax."
I know that joke. I know that joke.
It's an old
Anyway.
joke, but it's still really funny.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think we should. We've been going nearly 2 hours, so I think we should call it a
okay.
night.
Hopefully, you're
right,
going to
all
edit
right.
some of this, huh?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you all for hopping on the panel tonight. We're going to definitely have to do this again. There will be plenty of opportunities. We'll do this again. Get it all set up.
I'll put on a different hat.
Oh no, you're fine. Your hat was great. But
Well, thank you,
yeah,
Michael,
yeah.
Sue, Donnie. Yeah,
Thanks, Sue. Thanks, Tim, Michael. You guys were all wonderful, and yeah, you guys are welcome back anytime, for sure.
Thank you so much. This was a ball. I love working with all of you. Thank you and good night.
For folks listening, just tune in next week, Monday, same time. Danielle should be in by then, I believe. But yeah, we got more stuff down the road.
Yeah, in fact, she just left a message. Says, thank you. Next episode and episode after will always be full of information and interesting topics.
Yep.
And then Carolyn Castro says, night, everyone. This was great.
Well,
Tell
thank
her
you,
I
Carolyn.
said, Carolyn, blessed be. Take care, and I hope you had a great Beltane.
Yeah. All right, guys. Good night, everyone. I hope you stay safe out there and enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. Ciao for now.
Thank you.
Born from shadow, sealed in truth, ancient blood, but